My name is Colin. I'm from New York, and I came down here to the Ayahuasca Foundation um, to deal with anxiety, um, a sense of fear. Fear about sort of living my life fully and pursuing my ambitions, and um, just wanting to sort of get out of my own way and figure out what's stopping me. And I I felt like I had tried so many different things, and when I discovered ayahuasca, I found that was it just kind of spoke to me, and I signed up for it uh, like 2 days after I found out about it, and it just felt right, and I just sort of knew this was the right thing to do. My experience on this retreat the last 2 weeks has been like life-changing. I mean, really just incredible. I came down with a lot of intentions and hopes of kind of what I wanted to work on here, but really no expectations. I just kind of came to find out what would happen, and it's just far surpassed anything I could have expected. I feel like a completely different person. I feel like I got exactly what I needed. It's like a deep level of healing that I knew I couldn't get to on my own. I feel like it was work at times. I really had to kind of surrender to the process and accept it, and trust that ayahuasca and everything I was doing here was all working towards my greater good, and it absolutely did. I feel like I've addressed issues in a way that it made it so clear. It wasn't like before this. I just sort of be going in these cycles of trying to understand what was going on and what I had to do about it, and I was sort of trying to figure it out intellectually, and I could never kind of get to where it really lived, like deep down. I couldn't get to that sort of heart space about it, and here I was able to get to that place and really get to that level of healing, and just kind of get really clear about what I was dealing with, and how to move forward. And I feel like the experience. I mean, it was healing, but it was also just like mind blowing. I mean, I mean, there was work, but there's also just like moments of real like beauty. It was really incredible. Just kind of turning over to this experience and seeing where it would take me. I feel like my whole life is before ayahuasca and after ayahuasca. I feel like I'm going back on a whole new path. I came down with this attitude of being open, and this mantra of release and surrender. I just kept repeating release and surrender. That was my mantra. And I feel that first of all, I thought I knew what surrender meant until I got here, and I learned so much more about it than I even thought. But the openness, I think, was the key, was the way to get this level of healing. I didn't come down with a laundry list of things that ayahuasca had to do and how it was supposed to be. I came down and said, okay, I surrender to the process and to what this is going to be, and to however it's going to look and however it's going to feel. And if it's hard, it's hard. Hard is good. It's what I'm here for. And that made all the difference. That it made such a difference, and I never was confronted with anything I couldn't handle because of that, because I was open to anything. And I would say that's so important, is to just be open to this and to just trust it, even if you don't know. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest lesson, is like not trying to know, not trying to intellectually understand it. You're going to get in your own way. Stop trying to know how this is going to work, and just trust that it will, and it does. I mean, for me, it did. So I would definitely say being open to however this meets you is the best way to get the most out of it. So, I knew obviously about ayahuasca in terms of treatments I'd be having down here, but all of the other treatments were were equally beneficial. I mean, I'm so glad that I didn't just come down here and do ayahuasca. I'm so glad I came down here and had this really comprehensive healing. The other treatments are amazing. I mean, just the experience of knowing all of the different plants and plant medicines and all the things they can treat. I had no idea. I just had no idea. And I'm so glad that I had the experience of having these other medicines and seeing how they complement ayahuasca and how they work on their own. I think it's, I think that's if you're coming down here for healing, if you're doing ayahuasca for healing, you're missing out by not having these other treatments, because these other plants are just as beneficial, and there are things that they can do that ayahuasca might not get to as strongly or as directly, and so having the wide range was so comprehensive. So over the 6 ceremonies and really the treatments in between, I found that in the beginning, particularly with the first ceremony, it was I felt like it was that was probably my most challenging ceremony. It was definitely where I felt that ayahuasca was cleaning and bringing things to the surface and bringing these blockages out, and when it's getting to that pain, it's bringing that pain up and it's bringing that hurt up, and so you have to face it and you have to feel it. And that first ceremony, there was a lot of purging, and there was a lot of just feeling like, oh my God, this is really working hard on me, and I had to keep reminding myself. It was like I came in with the mantra of release and surrender, and I learned the mantra of hard is good. Hard is good. When it's hard, it's good. It's working, and I had to keep reminding myself that. And so at first that was challenging, and even into the second ceremony, there was still some more cleaning. There wasn't. My experience was not that I came in and just had immediately like mind-blowing visions and mind-blowing revelations. Like there was work to be done first, and that between the ayahuasca ceremonies and the plant baths and vapor baths and other treatments that we did in between, it got me to the place that by my third ceremony, I was really getting into the stuff I came here to address, and I was getting into that place of healing. It was like cleaning and then healing, and it was incredible. I mean, I remember just so many memories and thoughts and ideas coming up, and it was kind of like going through this, filing cabinet of things and saying, here's this file, and that's what this is, and that's what that is, and then kind of addressing it and putting it somewhere else. And it was, in some ways, I mean, I don't want to say it was easy, because of course it was work, but it was like, wow, it simplified everything. And I was like, oh, I started to see things in such a clear way by that third ceremony, and was able to then file that away. And I felt after that third one, just like, okay, wow, we're working together now. I always felt that ayahuasca and I were working together. It felt collaborative the whole time. I met it halfway and it met me, and I always felt like we were working hand in hand. And so by the later ceremonies, by my fifth one, it was, like a sense of surrender and a sense of joy and a sense of peace that I'd never had. And it wasn't me trying to intellectually get there. It just happened. I just gave into it. And it was amazing. It was just, I got exactly what I wanted and what I needed, so that I felt like I was rewarded for trusting the process, because it came and met me and said, okay, here's your medicine. And, I think that having the challenges in the beginning was a life lesson in and of itself. Not just the ayahuasca, but the experience of having to say, okay, this might be hard right now. It's doing its work right now. You have to just kind of sit with it. Like, that was a life lesson. That was so much about how life is, and just, that idea, if you're going through something challenging, just keep going. Just keep going. And, I just feel like at this point I am, I'm completely receptive and open to not just this, but just like whatever I go home to, that's so big. It's like not just being open to the ayahuasca process, but letting that experience of opening to ayahuasca teach you how to be open to things in your life, and teach you how to get to that heart space and not go to that ego space and that head space of worrying about all of these things that you can't control, like letting that go. Just the mere fact that I was here going through this process and having to accept that as part of the process was a lesson. And the actual ayahuasca ceremonies just reinforced that and just went deeper with those lessons. I feel like we had an amazing group at this retreat. I feel like that was such a big part of it. We had such an amazing group of people. Like just from the start, everyone was so open and so friendly and so like on the same level and the same page about why we were here and what we wanted to accomplish. And it made all the difference. I mean, just the mere fact that, you have a ceremony and the next day you have a group of people who have some sense of what you've been through, and can kind of understand what you're talking about. And some people you can process this with. You can say, oh my God, at this point it was really, this was really nuts, or I was like, whoa, what is this? And just being able to talk through it, it was like, oh, I understand what happened now. I have a better idea. And when someone else tells you what they went through or what they saw, it's just incredible. Like it's amazing. Like everyone had a different experience every night. And it got to the point where, I'm as invested in my own healing as everyone else is. I want to know how everyone else does after this. I feel like these people are my tribe. We all know this experience together. And I know their stories and they know mine. And and seeing the work that they've done and the journey that they've gone on here, I just feel like they're an indelible part of my life now. I just always want to see where that journey continues. And I feel like I always now have people who I can connect to and reach out to, who I have like a really deep connection with. Even if I don't see them every day or ever again see them in person, I have that connection. And I feel like that was a huge gift. I feel like I was so lucky to be in this retreat with these people. And I'm so glad I met everyone here. They're just good people. So the camp is really, really nice. I mean, I had seen the pictures online and I knew it wasn't going to be, I didn't want it to be like a 5-star resort, I wasn't looking for that. But it was really, I couldn't have asked for another need to be met, the rooms were nice and there's running water and working bathrooms. This is not, you're not in the woods in a tent with a bucket, it's not that. And the food was great. You're on the ayahuasca diet and it's certainly restrictive, but it was great. It was like we were so well taken care of. And just like where you are, you're just like in the middle of the rainforest. It's so peaceful. It's so tranquil. And, there's a whole area of just hammocks to just lay and read or sleep or just hang out. And, just that, it was so relaxing. You're doing this work with ayahuasca but you're in this place that's so tranquil and so relaxing so that, you can kind of get that energy to do that work and to be present for this. I can't think of anything that I needed that wasn't met here. So Don Rano holds an incredible ceremony. He's very powerful. Again, this was my first experience with ayahuasca. This was my introduction to it, and he. On this sort of like deep level, you sense his dedication and his just like passion for what he's doing. This is like life's work, and it was just incredible. His singing of the Icaros and just his energy. I don't know how to explain it. It was just his energy is so powerful, and I felt like we are in really capable, good hands with him. He's great. He's just so great. So, the facilitators, Sky and Helm, they are such good people, and like people you can see are doing their life's work, and they love what they're doing. They were so friendly and so open and so present for all of us the entire time, and again, I feel so lucky that they were the people running this retreat, facilitating this, because I just felt like I was in such good hands. And I mean, and they're, I mean, as the time of filming this, they're engaged, and they're just this beautiful couple together. It's just like this beautiful example of love, and like just that is a great thing to witness. Just seeing them together. But they have just been so giving of themselves these past 2 weeks, and so caring, and fun and funny, and they could keep things lighthearted when it needs to be lighthearted, and that's so important, because you're doing hard work, and it's helpful to be reminded to just take a deep breath and relax. And they they knew how to read everyone, and they knew how to keep the energy in a really good place. And I think we were so lucky to have them here. I think the world of them, and I can't thank them enough for everything they did for us. And the staff and the surrounding community is, I mean, everyone is so friendly and so nice. I mean, we would go for walks in the Mishana community, and people would wave and say hello and smiling, and we're just so welcoming to us. And and the staff who are working here, they from cooking the food to cleaning our rooms to just kind of watching over us during ceremonies, and just kind of watching over the camp. I mean, it felt really, really nice to have that level of care while we're going through such a vulnerable experience. They just were really, again, just really awesome. So if you're thinking of trying ayahuasca, particularly for the first time, and you're thinking of coming down here, I mean, first of all, I think if you're considering it, it's calling out to you, and you should do it. If you're thinking that this might be something you want to try, then I think you should do it. And I think that the Ayahuasca Foundation, particularly, absolutely for your first time, is far and away the right place to go. And I think in terms of the attitude and the approach that you should have to this, just really just be open to it. Just, there's things you can do to prepare. I think spending some time meditating, or if you have a yoga practice or whatnot, like just time getting quiet and getting centered with yourself, journaling, things like that. I think those are really important before you come, to really kind of get in that headspace. I think it's really, I was really glad that I started doing the diet before I came here. I think it's a really smart idea. I think it really prepared me for the work that I needed to do here. It certainly, I think, made the purge a lot easier because I came in a really clean state. But I think your attitude is so important. I think even more important is coming here, surrendering. I mean, I can't say it enough. Surrender. Like, surrender to this and to what it's going to be, and just trust that it's going to work. I mean, that's how the curandero works. That's how Don Rona worked, is he believed the medicine was going to work, and he there was no doubting it. And I think if you come with the same approach, that this is going to give you what you need, and you just have to trust it, again, it'll meet you halfway. It will meet you all the way. Just be open to it, and you're going to be glad you did.